doing? Well, we're still in a deep freeze up here. This is going to go down as one of the colder winters in a decade or so. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's staying warm. And if you're out driving in this mess, slow it down. The reason I'm coming on is to talk point blank about a few things, because it keeps continuing, and it really needs to be put a stop to, or to be addressed honestly. So right now, I'm waiting to talk to Mike and Kathy, because I got a couple pictures. One of them is Mike plowing his driveway, because I want to talk about honesty versus lies, and how fucked up some people in the United States have become over the last few decades. Now, as we all know, Drunk Dur is a mess. We all know that she's a maggot, she's a Trump supporter, and she's dumb as a cup of mud. But a person that has been Dar's right-hand buddy, that some of you out there think is a nice person, because she goes to great lengths to make you believe that. Or you're just like her. I'm not sure which one, because I don't know. So if you go to my post page right now, I have posted a comment from her husband, or ex-husband. She's been away from him for the last year. Now, when Audrey first started coming on, she told everybody that her man had integrity, and he chased her for years, and it was a real love story, right? Well, this is the reality of it. So I'm going to read you his latest post. And if you go to his Facebook, you'll see there's many more like it. This is his latest post. My opinion: Omar should be taken out, hung by a tree, to show people what we think of people like her and her race. She is such a piece of garbage. I wouldn't let my dog have sex with her. My pig might. So I'm assuming he's talking about the young woman who's in Congress, or in Senate, or representative, and she's dark complected. Audrey was married to this man for 20 years. She just recently got separated from him. Audrey raised her children with this man, and her grandchildren were with this man. So we're talking about a woman who claims that she's financially, she worked at the Bissell factory and retired at 40 years old, and she makes all this money, which tells us all that she could have left him at any time if she felt he was a bad person or was not fit, right? But she didn't. She stayed with him for 20-some years. And just in the last year went out on her own, as much as she could afford to, because now those adult children are now taking care of her. So what Audrey would have you all believe is that she's a good person. She's got integrity. She told all of us that he had integrity. If you read his Facebook, he is a vile, and I mean vile, human being. And she went way out of her way to portray Michael Morgan as being an unfit person to be around children, and his wife Kathy. But she just loved children. So if you left those children, your children, in her household, you would have been leaving your children with a man who thinks there's nothing wrong with posting something like that. Robin likes to say things like, we're all just people. We're human beings. But yet the real Robin, the real household that she has financially supported, raised her children in, stuck up for, believes that people of color should be hung by a tree to show what we think of them. And they're a piece of garbage. And she wouldn't even let her dog have sex with this person. Maybe her pigs. So Audrey likes to put out, who's Chuck? That's my partner. I'm not married. That is my man. She likes to do this all the time, and she likes to send me messages that she thinks psychologically fucks with my head. Audrey, that piece of shit that you married and you've been living with, I wouldn't even look at him. I wouldn't even talk to him. I would just white trash. Because that's all he is. And yet you stayed 20 years with that. Why? Because you couldn't afford to leave him? Were you an abused woman? Because according to you, everybody's weak, man. No man's going to tell you what to do. Nobody's going to put a boot print on your back, but you stayed with that piece of shit. You let your children and grandchildren be raised by that piece of shit. There is nothing about you that intimidates me at all. Because you're just full of hot air. The only person that is weak is you. Because you could not get off your ass and protect yourself from a man like that. And that's nothing. You should see the rest of his post. He's posted like 9 today. And it's just absolutely hateful, horrible shit. If I had any sympathy for you, which I don't, I would look at this from a point of view that you're an abused woman. Because what person in their right mind would want to be with somebody that is that full of hate that he wants to see somebody hung, a woman, because of the color of her skin, her race? And then he has to bring sex into it. And you bitch about Michael Morgan? It sounds to me like what you've done is you have taken what you've been living with for 20 years and put that on Michael Morgan because you are so full of hate and anger yourself. There is absolutely no way that if somebody put a post like that out on Facebook, that I would allow him anywhere near me, anywhere near any of my children or my grandchildren. And see, Audrey has slithered around YouTube and other platforms and found herself other people like her. And one of those people, well, two of those people are Michael and Crazy Cat. Over the last 5 years, I have received messages from him, under different names. But like you said, the IP address is always the same. Where he has threatened to kill me, where he has threatened to rape me, where he has threatened to rape my daughters. These are the people. And this man has 3 children in his home. And Audrey thinks they're just wonderful. And another group that she's created is Analyzing the Internet Trolls. That is partially a group of people she's created and brought in from the old Petty Furball, Danielle bullshit, Chris and Holly stuff. And those people spend every day, multiple times a day, cyberbullying a woman in her 60s who is disabled. And that's one of Audrey's favorite channels. That channel's called Analyzing the Internet Trolls. And over there you'll find, and then there's Jimmy Smith channel. So over there you'll find Kevin Neese. You'll find Michael and KK. You'll find Audrey. And a few others. Dawn could give you their names more than I could. But that's all these adults do. They go all day, all night, harassing other people. And they hide under rocks because they're cowards. These are the adults of America that are the mouthiest. And they don't think other people see what they are. You are what's known as trash. Kevin Neese was another YouTuber. He went on completely misrepresenting himself. 70-year-old man. Had everybody believing he was something he wasn't. But when the cracks started showing, he was a sexual predator with younger women. So whenever he'd comment on women, all older women were pigs. Women that had weight on them were pigs. But he liked young women. 70-year-old man. But if you were a woman, you were like a second-class citizen. And then he turned around and joined forces with Michael and KK. They're out of, I think, Tom, New Jersey. 2 losers. He doesn't work. And He can't walk. And they tried to get a GoFundMe going to con people into giving him money because poor Kevin had no place to stay, which was bullshit. And all of this goes back to Drunkter, and before Drunkter, Jack Off and Pickles. And now here we are 5 years later, and this woman who started a YouTube channel, who at one time was homeless, then she was a dumpster diver. The first batch of children she had, she did not raise, her husband did. She moved to Smith Island. And for those of you that don't know about Smith Island, it's a very isolated island in the middle of nowhere. It's sinking. It floods. There's something like a couple hundred people that live there. There's like 8 children ranging from 18 to, I don't know. There's no hospitals. There's no social systems. There's no CPS or social service. There's no doctors. There's no police department. I don't even know if there's a fire department left, probably. So after she got to Smith Island, then she continued her YouTube channel. And at that point, she married some guy on the island, 50-year-old man. She's 47. And she's videoed all of this. All of this she has videoed. But before she did that, there was a couple other YouTubers out there, Chris and Holly and Elian. And they had a little boy. And once she got a hold of Captain Lardass, Terry, the house that Terry was renting to her, once she moved in with Terry, I should say, she contacted Chris and Holly and said, I'll let you guys live there. And that way you've got a place to live with your son. And that's the way she spun it for everybody to see. But in reality, behind the scenes, she wanted to do a collaboration with them because they were way more popular than she was. And after being there for a while, they said no, and they left. She, to this day, participates in hate groups that she started against this couple, simply because they did not want to collaborate with her. That's what you see left over from the Drunk Dirt channel. That's, Robin, you will see Audrey go from Jack Off and Pickles to Drunk Dirt to analyzing the internet trolls. These are the ones that she frequents. And Darlene will come on and tell you, oh, she's a wonderful person. She's a good egg. She's either two things. She's either an abused woman, a weak abused woman, or she's just like this piece of shit, Dave. Now, I've asked Chuck if he's interested in coming on YouTube, and he's like, fuck no. So, sorry for your luck, Audrey. I know desperately looking for a man to keep you in money. But all these people are the problem with America. God forbid they go out and get a real fucking job or obey the laws. I mean, Darlene, we all know she drinks and drives all the time. God only imagine the shit that's went down in Audrey's life in the last 20 years. I couldn't even imagine. You know, Audrey has put out video on Chuck because Chuck gets into this show, My Big Fat Fabulous Life or Wedding or something. And there's a whole group of them, they talk shit. But I'll tell you something Chuck has never said. He has never said that a fat person deserves to be strung up like a piece of garbage and fucked by a dog. Hey, Hungry, how's it going? And if he did, Audrey, under no uncertain terms would I tell him, get the fuck out of my life, and so would my daughters and grandchildren. So you are the one that's weak, not me. You are the one that is pathetic. You are the one that is so addicted to YouTube that you're actually using it for fucking therapy. Now, Petty Furball has recently put out a video, back off in pickles, that she wants to get a foster child. So I'm going to repeat this again. Here is a woman who has been homeless, who is divorced, left her children with her first husband, came to a remote island because she met a man online or something, married him, (47, 48 years old, and at 50 years old, she wants to bring a foster child to a remote island in the middle of nowhere with no other children around, nobody to keep an eye on them. And this is a woman who has spent years creating hate channels and participating on hate channels on YouTube. There's absolutely no way, if CPS or an adoption agency knew that this was part of her personality, that they would be okay with that. So either she is lying to you for video and attention, and that's what all this group does, or she's lying to them, one of the two. And either way, there's a kid at stake. There's a kid who's, if you get a child out of the foster system, you're going to get a traumatized child to begin with. Danielle is not stable enough to take care of herself. Danielle has constantly been reinventing herself, and every bit of it she puts on YouTube. It reminds me of that couple, those two women out in Utah, that, were all over YouTube and had their kids all over YouTube, and and they were living in a big, beautiful home in Utah. And when they weren't on video, pretending that life was wonderful and they were so religious and such good people. Those kids were being tortured. They were being locked in rooms, tied up. A little boy was made to stand out in the sun all day with no clothes on. He was made to sit on a cactus with no clothes on. And if it was not for that little boy escaping and making it to the neighbors and a lovely older couple doing what was right, which they didn't know what they were getting into, nobody would have ever known about it. People like Audrey, people like Jack and Pickles, these people are sick. People like Darlene, they're sick. They're sick in their minds. They've lost the plot. And they want to believe or want to make it out, and they use YouTube to portray that everybody is like them or worse. Because most normal people are not going to take the time to do a video, edit it, put it up on YouTube, proving the difference. Because they got lives to run. Now, I've got a couple pictures of Mike and Kathy that I'm waiting for a phone call from them. And all this time, Audrey has been portraying that Mike can't walk, that he can't breathe, that he does nothing but sit and drink 24/7. No, that is Drunk Dur that does that. And Mike and Kathy live out in the country. They have a very large, one of the biggest double wides I've ever seen. This place has a full dining room, like it's big. I don't know whether there's an addition on it. They own acres of property and they have a really long driveway. And of course, they've got big, beautiful porches built all around it. But I can't post the pictures until Kathy gives me permission, or Mike does. But Audrey portrays Mike as being nothing but a drunk. Dar portrays Mike as being nothing but a drunk. And you know, Mike can't walk. That's what they like to say. Which is absolute lie. And as a matter of fact, it's more like them. I believe everybody has the right to have a voice. But when you